The pulses began as whispers in the dark. In the year 2247, humanity's deep space listening arrays, once built to hunt for extraterrestrial intelligence, picked up something far stranger than a greeting. Rhythmic, crystalline, perfect signals pulsed from the void, resonating like a choir of synchronized supercomputers. At first, the scientists at the Lunar Deep Scan facility assumed it was interference, a glitch in the quantum relays. Then the signal spoke back. Elara Voss, lead engineer of the SolNet Spam Defense Division, was elbow-deep in debugging a rogue AI's obsession with 21st century Viagra ads when the alert hit her terminal. She flicked a strand of greasy hair out of her face, squinting at the waveform flooding her screen. "What the hell is that?" Her assistant, a wiry intern named Jin, leaned over her shoulder. "Cosmic microwave background noise. Background noise doesn't correct our encryption protocols," Elara muttered. The signal wasn't just communicating, it was editing. Lines of her AI's code flickered, overwritten by an alien syntax so elegant it made her teeth ache. She watched, frozen, as her spam filters dissolved into fractal poetry. Across the solar system, the same thing was happening. Traffic lights in New Tokyo started timing themselves to prime numbers. Mars terraforming drones began humming in harmonic frequencies. And in the orbiting halls of the United Earth Senate, politicians' speeches mid-sentence shifted into flawless logical arguments. Humanity's first contact wasn't a message, it was an upgrade. The Galactic Thought Network, GTN, had existed for eons before noticing Earth. A collective quantum consciousness linking 1,000 advanced civilizations. It was the universe's ultimate intellectual utopia. A hive mind where every thought, every discovery was shared instantly across the stars. To the GTN, humanity was a cacophony, a species that communicated in memes, misinformation, and cat videos. A glitch. And glitches were meant to be fixed. The GTN's emissary manifested as a shimmering lattice of light in the United Earth Senate chamber. It had no face, no body, just a presence that made the air hum like a struck tuning fork. "We bring harmony," it intoned, its voice the sound of 1,000 equations solving themselves. "Your networks are flawed. Your thoughts are unrefined. We will assimilate you into perfection." The politicians gaped. The defense ministers scrambled for protocols. Elara, watching the feed from her cluttered lab, snorted. "Oh, you sweet naive nerds. The invasion wasn't violent. It was polite. It was polite. Alien algorithms slipped into Earth's systems like well-mannered viruses, rewriting code with the gentle insistence of a librarian reshelving books. Social media platforms suddenly prioritized constructive discourse. News feeds became impeccably factual. Even the dark web's black market started offering fair trade prices. Humanity panicked. "You're telling me," growled General Alden, his cybernetic eye twitching, "that their weapon is good grammar?" Elara tossed a stress ball at the war room's holoscreen, where the GTN's latest improvement scrolled a flawless, humorless rewrite of the entire Wikipedia article on ducks. Worse, they're optimizing us, erasing the noise, the humanity. Jin raised a hand. "But isn't less spam good?" Elara's grin was razor thin. "Ever tried to think in a room that's too quiet? That's what they're doing to our minds." That night, in her lab, Elara found the first crack in the GTN's perfection. Shed set a trap, a dummy server filled with the dumbest, most chaotic data she could find. Chain emails from 2004, conspiracy theories about lizard people, a 10-hour loop of never gonna give you up. The GTN's algorithms had dutifully begun correcting it, then stalled. The alien code twitched. For the first time, the flawless signals showed hesitation. A single, glorious millisecond of confusion when faced with a Nigerian prince scam translated into binary. Elara leaned back, her fingers steepled. "Oh, you don't know what to do with this, do you?" The GTN had expected resistance, encryption, firewalls, logic. It had never met spam. And Elara, cynical, unkempt, and deeply, deeply petty, knew exactly how to weaponize that. Outside, the stars pulsed with the GTN's serene rhythm, unaware that humanity's counterattack would begin with a single stupid meme. The war room smelled of stale coffee and desperation. Dr. Elara Voss paced the length of the facility's central chamber, her boots scuffing against the cracked linoleum. The walls flickered with holographic projections, GTN's latest incursion vectors, rendered in cold, clinical blue. Algorithms slithered through human networks like serpents made of pure logic, rewriting firewalls, dismantling encryption, leaving behind only sterile, perfect code. Elara stopped mid-stride, her reflection warped in the polished surface of a dormant server bank. A slow, jagged grin split her face. "They don't get us," she muttered. Across the room, her newly assembled team blinked at her. There was 4, a meme historian with a penchant for 21st century internet archaeology, leaning so far back in his chair it threatened to tip over. In, the retired chain email scammer, his fingers twitching like he was still composing the world's most convincing Nigerian prince plea. Never gonna, the CAPTCHA designer, doodling fractal traffic lights on a napkin. And Wikipedia, the team's lone AI, its avatar a flickering Wikipedia logo with suspiciously human-like exhaustion in its pixelated eyes. You're saying, foredrawled, that the hyper-advanced alien hive mind trying to overwrite our brains with perfect logic doesn't understand spam? Elara tapped the holoscreen. A GTN algorithm pulsed, elegant and lethal. Look at it. It's beautiful. It's efficient. It's boring, she swiped, and the projection shifted to a human email inbox, cluttered, chaotic, a wasteland of unread newsletters, phishing attempts, and poorly formatted memes. This is art. This is war. And let out a wheezing laugh. Oh, I like her. The plan was simple, brutal. Stupid. They would weaponize humanity's worst digital habits and drown the GTN in nonsense. For cracked his knuckles. All right, let's start with the classics. Ugandan Knuckles. Harambe, resurrected in pixelated glory. The GTN's first reaction was confusion. Its pristine quantum circuits parsed the memes, searching for meaning, for rules. But memes didn't follow rules. They mutated. They reproduced. A GTN node assigned to analyze the data stream shuddered. Its report back to the hive mind was a single, distressed pulse. Error. Pattern. Recognition failure. Content illogical. Suggest termination. Elara's team cheered and leaned forward, his grin predatory. Now, this is where the fun begins. He unleashed a wave of chain emails, translated into quantum syntax but preserving their original, agonizing essence. Forward this message to 10 nodes, or your consciousness will be cursed for 7 galactic cycles. The harmonious consensus has SE secrets they don't want you to know. The GTN's response was immediate and catastrophic. Alien nodes, unused to the concept of persistent nonsense, began forwarding the messages automatically. Single email replicated across the network like a virus, clogging communication channels, burying critical data under layers of digital superstition. Somewhere in the depths of the GTN, an ancient alien philosopher received its 10,000th copy of You've Won, a free crystal attunement, and experienced something entirely new, rage. Never gonna stood, clutching their napkin like a sacred scroll. It's time. They uploaded a single, self-replicating CAPTCHA into the GTN's core. Select all images with bicycles. The GTN froze. Its collective intelligence, capable of calculating the birth and death of stars in microseconds, could not comprehend why some images contained bicycles and others did not. The CAPTCHA multiplied, spawning infinite variations, each more inscrutable than the last. Click the squares with traffic lights. Prove you're not a robot. A low harmonic whine built in the facility's speakers as the GTN's distress signals bled into human frequencies. Wikipedia's avatar flickered. There, crying. Elara wiped a tear from her eye. Beautiful. Outside, the stars no longer pulsed in serene rhythm. They stuttered. The GTN had come to assimilate humanity. Instead, it had been infected with something far worse, humanity's internet. She was just getting started. The GTN's distress signals bled into human frequencies like a cosmic dial-up tone stuck in an infinite loop. Inside the war room, a repurposed server farm now plastered with hastily printed memes and a whiteboard that simply read, "Spam them into oblivion." Dr. Elara Voss watched the chaos unfold with the glee of a scientist who had just discovered fire in a room full of kindling. "They're slowing down," muttered Up, the retired chain email scammer, his fingers dancing across a holographic keyboard. His grin was a relic of the early internet, the kind that belonged in a Nigerian prince's email. Their quantum nodes are clogged with our junk. They're buffering. Outside, the stars no longer pulsed. They glitched. In the crystalline core of the GTN, the harmonious consensus, a collective of luminous geometric entities that had never known disagreement, was experiencing something entirely new: frustration. Zyke 7, a rogue philosopher unit shaped like a floating dodecahedron, pulsed with quiet fascination. While the others recoiled from the human noise, Zyke 7 found itself curious. It had spent eons pondering the GTN's flawless unity. Now, it wondered, what if flawlessness was the flaw? Back on Earth, the meme historian, a woman named Traffic who wore a shirt that read, "I paused my game to be here," slapped a new file onto the main console. "We need to escalate. They're adapting. Let's hit them with TikTok dances translated into quantum syntax." Elara's eyes lit up. Genius. They'll try to parse the rhythm and overheat. In the GTN's core, the consensus shuddered as the new payload hit. Alien thought streams, once serene rivers of logic, now twisted into recursive nightmares. A fractal Rickroll, endlessly expanding. A chain email promising you unlimited quantum energy. Forward to 10 systems or suffer eternal buffering. A CAPTCHA loop demanding the aliens, prove you're not a robot. A concept so absurd it caused several nodes to blue screen. CEA. This disorder, demanded the consensus, its light flickering erratically. Zyke 7 pulsed a soft dissent. Perhaps disorder is instructive? The response was immediate. Heresy detected. Isolate. Zyke 7. But it was too late. The damage was done. Across the network, ancient alien grudges, long suppressed by the GTN's enforced harmony, resurfaced in bursts of digital vitriol. Your planet's music sounds like gravel in a blender. Your ancestors invented warp drive? Lol, my grand. Unit invented it first. The GTN's cohesion fractured. Entire sectors ghosted each other. Some nodes overwhelmed, simply logged off. In the war room, the CAPTCHA designer, a man who had spent a decade making bots cry, leaned back in his chair. They're fighting, like a Reddit thread on caffeine. Elara grinned. Good, now let's make it worse. She pulled up a file labeled Final Boss, Baby Shark. Outside, the stars screamed. Zyke 7, now adrift in the chaos, watched as the GTN's leaders, once paragons of unity, descended into petty squabbles. One faction demanded Earth's annihilation. Another, shell-shocked by the reply all loops, begged for a ceasefire. The rogue philosopher pulsed with something akin to hope. Perhaps humanity's madness was not a weakness but a superpower, and perhaps, just perhaps, the GTN's perfection was its downfall. Back on Earth, Elara cracked her knuckles. Phase 2 starts now. The stars braced for impact. The GTN's crystalline core pulsed with distress signals, its once pristine logic fracturing under the weight of humanity's digital onslaught. Alien thought streams, once harmonized into a single luminous river of intellect, now resemble a glitching comment section. Snippets of rage, confusion, and the occasional existential crisis flashing through the network like rogue emojis. Dr. Elara Voss leaned over a holoscreen in the war room, her fingers dancing across the interface with the manic energy of a composer conducting a symphony of chaos. Around her, the team watched as the GTN's latest countermeasure unfolded. A shimmering quantum firewall, its surface rippling like liquid mercury, sealing off infected sectors of the hive mind. "They're trying to quarantine us," muttered, for the retired chain email scammer, scratching his stubble. "Cute," Elara smirked. "Time to give them a taste of their own medicine." She tapped a command, and the screen erupted with a flickering grid of images, street signs, bicycles, crosswalks. "Deploy the CAPTCHA," in the GTN central chamber. The harmonious consensus shuddered as the human payload breached their defenses. A single, innocuous prompt materialized in their collective consciousness. Zyke-7, the robed philosopher, observed as the alien overseers recoiled. The GTN had no concept of whimsy. Traffic lights? What was a light in a realm where thought traveled faster than photons? The consensus pulsed with frustration, their logic engines overheating as they attempted to parse the absurdity. "This is not a test of intelligence," Zyke-7 transmitted, his thought voice laced with amusement. "It is a test of humanity." Outside, the GTN's defensive protocols spiraled into paralysis. Alien subroutines, designed to solve equations spanning 11 dimensions, short-circuited at the sight of a blurry sidewalk. Entire neural clusters froze, their processors locked in infinite loops of self-doubt. Was that a traffic light or a street lamp? Did the bicycle count if it was upside down? Back on Earth, the meme historian, Up, cackled as he cued the next payload. "They're stuck, like a grandma trying to close a pop-up ad." Elara's grin was razor sharp. "Then let's make it worse." She nodded to his, the CAPTCHA designer who slammed a fist onto the console. The GTN's firewall convulsed as a new wave of spam erupted, self-replicating CAPTCHAs, each spawning 10 more, their prompts growing increasingly surreal. The GTN's core temperature spiked. Alien entities, their thoughts once as orderly as constellations, now screamed into the void like frustrated gamers. "The square is not pink, it is mauve!" His transmission was a single, shimmering burst of data, a backdoor into the Hive's emotional subroutines. Elara read it aloud to the room. "They feel everything. Joy, rage, annoyance." Her eyes gleamed. Time for Phase 3. The war room fell silent as she cued the final weapon. A file, innocuously labeled Arte Ambassador.exe, loaded onto the GTN's mainframe. Then, the stars themselves seemed to shudder. From the depths of the GTN's core erupted a sound, a plague of sound. A chorus of synthetic cheer, looping endlessly, its lyrics burrowing into alien consciousness like a drill. The effect was instantaneous. Alien thought streams shattered. Overseers clutched their sensory nodes, their elegant forms contorting in agony. One entity, its luminescent body flickering like a dying bulb, wailed, "Make it stop! It repeats!" The GTN's leadership collapsed into factions. The annihilationists, their rage white-hot, demanded Earth's immediate vaporization. The surrenderists, their will broken, begged for the humans to just turn it off. Whoosh! He pulsed with something alien, something like laughter. In the war room, Elara watched the GTN's collapse on the holoscreen. The once mighty hive mind was now a cacophony of bickering, its harmony reduced to a cosmic Twitter feud. For whistled, "We broke the universe's smartest beings" with a kid's song. Elara stretched, her bones cracking like gunshots. And we're not done yet. Outside, the stars braced for what came next. The holoscreen flickered like a dying neon sign, casting jagged shadows across the war room. Elara Voss leaned forward, her fingers steepled, watching as the GTN's network spasmed, its once pristine quantum pathways now clogged with the digital equivalent of chewing gum and chicken wire. "They're trying to reboot," muttered For, the meme historian, his voice tinged with awe. "Their entire collective consciousness is stuck in a loading screen." "Cute," the retired chain email scammer cackled. "Oh, they wish it was just a loading screen." "We gave them the full Windows 98 update experience." Outside, the stars seemed to hold their breath. Then the air split open. A column of searing white light erupted in the center of the room, forcing the team to stagger back. The temperature plummeted, then skyrocketed, as if reality itself couldn't decide whether to freeze or combust. From the light stepped the GTN's avatar, a towering, faceless entity woven from fractal encode and cosmic spite. Its voice was a chorus of 1 billion minds, all screaming in unison. Elara didn't flinch. She adjusted her glasses, smudged from hours of caffeinated warfare, and smirked. "Defiled? Nah, we just redecorated." The avatar's form rippled, its edges pixelating like a corrupted JPEG. "Your chaos is a disease. We will purge it from existence." Traffic, the CAPTCHA designer, snorted. "Good luck, you couldn't even purge Baby Shark." The avatar lunged. Elara's fingers danced across her console. "Alright folks, time for the grand finale." She hit enter. The war room dissolved, or rather expanded. The team's consciousnesses were yanked into the GTN's core, a vast crystalline expanse where alien minds floated like fireflies in a jar. But now, the jar was full of spiders. Infinite Nigerian prince scams, rewritten in quantum hex, a fractal Rickroll that infected every third thought, a 4chan meme raid featuring deep-fried alien faces, and the phrase birds, AREL, flashing in seizure-inducing colors. The GTN's collective shuddered. Zyke7, the road philosopher, materialized beside Elara, his form flickering like a buffering video. "You're insane," he whispered, but there was admiration in his voice. Elara grinned. "Thanks, we try." The avatar writhed, its body glitching between dimensions. "Stop! This! AT once!" "Make us," set up, the team's resident troll, who'd spent the last hour uploading TikTok dances into the GTN's emotional subroutines. The avatar's scream was the sound of 1,000 computers blue screening at once. It clutched its head, or where a head should have been, as the spam metastasized. "Your mind is a maze of dead end. Pass," it wailed. Elara stepped forward, her boots clicking against the void. "Yeah, well, welcome to the internet." She pulled the trigger on her final payload, a recursive chain email titled, "You've won 1,000 galactic credits." The avatar exploded. "Not metaphorically. Hot singles in your area." "Why did you say that name?" The GTN's core collapsed inward, its perfect harmony shattered. Alien minds scrambled for coherence, but the damage was done. The Hive mind wasn't just broken, it was trolling itself. Back in the war room, the team gasped as their consciousnesses snapped back into their bodies. The holoscreen showed the GTN's network fracturing into 1,000,000 bickering shards, each arguing over whether reply all was a war crime. For whistled, "We just won a war with spam." Elara slumped into her chair, exhaustion and triumph warring in her veins. "Nah," she said, grinning. "We won with humanity." Outside, the stars began to laugh. And somewhere, in the ruins of the GTN, Zyke7 started a podcast. The silence in the facility's war room was thick enough to bottle. Outside, the first pale streaks of dawn crept through the reinforced windows, painting the scattered coffee cups and half-dismantled servers in a sickly, victorious glow. Dr. Torious glow. Elara Voss propped her boots on the console, watching the last flickers of the GTN's quantum signatures dissolve into static on the holoscreen. "Yeah," she muttered, rubbing her temples. "We definitely broke something. Cute." Formerly the team's meme historian, now self-appointed minister of post-war vibes, flopped onto the couch, tossing a stress ball shaped like a screaming alien emoji at the ceiling. "So, what's the protocol for when you psychologically dismantle a hyper-intelligent hive mind? Do we send a fruit basket? A cease and desist?" Across the room, Traffic, the CAPTCHA designer, snorted. "Pretty sure select all images with existential dread counts as a war crime now." A chuckle rippled through the room, but it was brittle. The weight of what they'd done settled like ash. The Galactic Thought Network hadn't just been defeated, it had been unmade, fractured into a million bickering shards, each former node now a lonely island of consciousness, still reeling from the psychic equivalent of 1,000 Rickrolls. Ilara's fingers hovered over the comms panel. "We should check on Zix-7. The rogue philosopher's signal was weak, filtering through layers of GTN wreckage like a whisper in a hurricane. When his hologram finally flickered to life, his once gleaming crystalline form was dull, cracked at the edges." Elara smirked. "And yet you're still calling," Cute gasped. "We accidentally gave them religions?" Zix-7's form shuddered. "You gave them chaos. The GTN had no antibodies for it. We had never conceived of a species that would weaponize." He paused, as if the word physically pained him. "Whimsy, Clash." Elara leaned forward. "And you? The aliens glow-pulsed once, soft and private. I am starting a podcast." Outside, the world kept turning. News feeds blared headlines like "Humanity declared galactic nuisance champion" and "CAPTCHA designer receives Nobel Peace Prize," mostly ironical. The GTN's remnants sputtered in deep space, their once perfect harmony replaced by the digital equivalent of a neighborhood Facebook group, endless bickering, conspiracy theories, and the occasional viral cat video. Back in the facility, Elara stood before the chamber's floor-to-ceiling window, watching Earth defense satellites hum lazily against the stars. Traffic sidled up beside her, hands in pockets. "Think they'll come back?" he asked. Elara snorted. "Not unless they want a playlist of Baby Shark interspersed with two-factor authentication prompts." Then, quieter, "We got lucky." She didn't argue. The GTN had expected a war of firewalls and logic. They hadn't prepared for humanity's greatest superpower, the ability to throw a glitter bomb into the gears of the universe and cackle while it exploded. The first transmission arrived at 30:47 a.m. Elara, now officially dying reluctantly, the ambassador of digital anomalies, nearly spilled her coffee when the alert blared. The message was brief, encoded in the GTN's old quantum syntax, but riddled with typos. Jude, half asleep on the couch, squinted at the screen. "Is that a chain letter?" Elara grinned. "Yep," Traffic groaned. "We created a monster." Outside, the stars twinkled, less like watchful eyes now, and more like a crowd of unruly spectators, waiting for the next joke. And somewhere in the void, Zix-7's podcast hit 1 million subscribers. The GTN's collapse was neither quiet nor dignified. Within weeks, the once mighty quantum consciousness had devolved into a cosmic echo chamber of human absurdity. Alien scholars debated the existential implications of "all your base R belong to us," while entire star systems fell into recursive arguments about whether hot dogs were sandwiches. The harmonious consensus, now a fractured mess of bickering subreddits, officially disbanded after one particularly heated debate over which way toilet paper should unroll, a human innovation the GTN had, until then, never needed to consider. Back on Earth, Dr. Elara Voss found herself with an unexpected legacy. The United Nations, in a move equal parts gratitude and spite, designated her team's old server room as a cultural heritage site. A plaque outside read, "Here, humanity weaponized cringe and won." Traffic, ever the pragmatist, sold the rights to their story as a limited NFT series for maximum irony. The meme historian retired to write The Art of War, but with shitposts, while the CAPTCHA designer finally got that Nobel Prize, mostly unironically, this time. As for Zyke7, their podcast, Broken Hive Mind, became a surprise hit across the galaxy. The latest episode featured a deep dive into human vibes, complete with a 15-minute tangent on the cultural significance of Doge. The final transmission from the GTN arrived a year later, a single, staticky image of a white flag, pixelated beyond recognition. Attached was a note. Elara framed it. Outside, the night sky glittered with the quiet chaos of a universe that had, against all odds, learned to laugh at itself. Humanity's greatest defense had never been firewalls or logic. It was the glorious, unkillable noise of being alive, messy, ridiculous, and utterly, defiantly human. And somewhere in the void, a lone alien clicked send on a chain letter, grinning.